back, relax, and maybe get yourself a snack. Me and you gonna have a little chat about books. Hi guys! So today I'm here to review 3 short books for you. 2 of them are Tor.com novellas and one of them is a short story that I was sent as part of the Mothbox. So let's just dive straight on in. I'm going to start off with the Mothbox book, and that one is 100 Shadows. It's a translated work written by Hwang Jungen, I believe, and the translation was by Jung Yuwon, and this was translated from Korean. It follows 2 main characters, and we're never really given too much insight into who they are and where they come from, but as the story unfolds you learn a lot more about their histories and how they came to the situation they're now in. Both of them are young characters. They are called Ayungo and Mujai, and each of them lives in a kind of slum area of Korea. They each day work at a market on different market stalls, and they kind of both dropped out of education for various reasons. We find all of this out quite quickly in the story, but the main element of this book is not really who they are or where they come from. It's who they are in the moments when they're together. And it does have a slight magical realism element to it. There is a big focus on shadows and what shadows mean and what shadows can do and how they can haunt you and kind of come to you in your dark times and also lift you up in those dark times. And I think there was a definite kind of fantastical element going on there. But the real beauty of this book is the writing and the way that these 2 young people address one another and have these thoughts and these feelings towards one another, not necessarily in a love way, although there are elements of that, but more in a curiosity way. They are both curious young people who just want to know more about the world, want to learn, want to chat, want to discover things and go on adventures together. And that's really what the root of this story is for me. I do think it is a very short book, and I do think there were some moments where I wished there was more given to us. There were some points of the story where I felt as though I didn't know the characters well enough to judge their actions or to be inspired by them, but I do think that there were some great questions posed about what it means to be young and be free and be able to express yourself or not. It wasn't my perfect read, but it definitely wasn't a bad read at all. I found it fascinating, I found it beautiful at times, I found it emotional at times, but I do think there were moments where I just wanted a little bit more and I didn't quite get it. So for me, I gave this one a 3 out of 5 stars. It was strong, it was beautiful, it was emotional, but it wasn't all I wanted. And I'm happy that I got it and I read it because it is a super short, quick read that I really enjoyed in the end. So 3 stars for that one from me. The next one I read is a Tor.com one, and this was sent to me for review. It is called Brothers Ruin and it's by Emma Newman, and it's the first one in a new series of books that she is starting that are all going to be novellas. I really enjoyed this, however it definitely was a setup book. It did not have a complete plot of its own. It had the beginning of something really good, and I think it's going to be a really strong series as the story goes on. But for me it felt like it was just the beginning. This book follows 2 main characters who are brother and sister. Our main character is predominantly Charlotte. Benjamin and Charlotte are brother and sister. They are part of the Gunn family and they live in a world where mages are recruited by the Royal Society of Esoteric Arts whenever they show signs of kind of exhibiting magic, or if they are in hiding and other people see them showing signs, then they can report people and they will be taken away. Usually around puberty is when people start to exhibit these magical traits and talents, and that is when the people from the academy come to take these children away. Their families are heavily compensated, but it's not something that is very desirable. A lot of people get very upset when their children are taken, obviously. And so we follow these 2 characters who both have a small potential of magical ability, but Charlotte's ability is a lot stronger than her brother's, and one day her brother is reported as being magical, but she is worried about him not necessarily fitting into the academy, so she lends him a bit of help to try and give him a good head start at the academy and get her family the compensation that they would need in order to deal with the sacrifice of losing a son in this day and age. I really enjoyed the concepts in this book. I think the potential of the Academy sounds fantastic and really cool, and I do think there is a lot more to come from this series and this world. There is also a kind of mystery element in this book which we are following as a side story. I'm certain that's going to come back in a bigger way in the later books, but like I say, it did feel like a setup to me. So it was strong, it was enjoyable, but again, I wanted more, and I do think it just is the start. So I gave this a 3.5. I definitely recommend picking it up, especially if you kind of just want to try out Emma Newman's writing. I love her, so I'd recommend her, but this is a good sort of start point. I will certainly be continuing on with this series when more come out, because I am fascinated and very intrigued about what will happen next. The final one I have to review for you is a fantastic little book. This is River of Teeth by Sarah Gailey, and I was sent this one for review from Tor.com. It comes out in May, so very, very soon. I flipping love this. I requested this one. I went into Forbidden Planet and I opened a book there, which was a Tor one, and inside there was a little postcard that had this advertised on it, and all I read on the back of it was feral hippos, like dangerous feral hippos, and I was in. I was totally hooked, line and sinkered for this book. I needed it in my life, so I sent a request into them and they were very kind and sent it out to me, and flipping hell, I loved it. It was so good. This is a mad book. It is very Wild West. It's definitely something kind of in the vein of cowboys' adventure, rollicking craziness through the jungle and through the marshlands, and it's a world where Americans decided to breed hippos in order to stop the meat from diminishing and producing them as alternative meat sources, and it's just batty, but it's so funny. There kind of is this band of different people who ride hippos and are trying to get on with a task of moving some of the hippos from one part of the river to another, and this band of crazy heroes is made up of some really, really cool people. We have a non-gendered character who is actually never gendered throughout the entire story, which I loved because you don't often see that, and it was definitely part of the book that felt really, really easy and really, really wonderful. We have a character who is an older woman who is not necessarily looked down upon. She's actually someone a lot of people look up to and respect and admire and think is really, really awesome. We have a character who is a pregnant woman, and yet she's still able to do things that are completely mad but very, very cool as well. She's actually a killer, a contracted killer, and she's sent on hits, and she's just, yeah, impressively badass. We have a big gangster character who rides around and throws people to feral hippos if they do not obey him. It's absolutely insane, but I loved the diversity elements, I loved the mad adventure, I loved the way that it was told, and I will certainly be picking up more by Sarah Gailey in future, because I just thought this was fantastic. It was so good and so strong, and I can't wait for everyone else to read this. I would definitely recommend this. I ended up giving it a 4.5 out of 5 stars, which is such a strong rating for a novella from me. So yeah, if you've not heard of this, and you're interested in reading a wacky story about feral hippos, pick it up, because, I mean, that's all you need to hear. Feral hippos in fantasy. Excellent. So I loved it. So that is my review for these 3 books. Do let me know down below which one you are most interested in and whether or not you will be picking any of them up. As I say, I enjoyed all of these and I definitely would recommend them all, but for very different reasons, so do let me know which one appeals most to you. Thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you very, very soon in my next video. Bye!
Thank you for watching my video today. Go pick up a book, then come back and chat with me again.